So two-boat races can be exciting. A lot of political systems are based on the supposition that is also possible, to wit, for example, the United States. So if we're looking at a two-boat race, that doesn't have to be less exciting than 6 lanes at all. And Zimbabwe and Venezuela are making it particularly exciting because this particular two-boat race is still neck and neck at 500. That's not always the case in a D final. They can sometimes prove to show some quite significant differences between the two scullers, but here the Venezuelan sculler with a wonderful first name of Genesis, the very first book of the Bible, Perez and Caroline Hammond, they're really at it, hammer and tongs all the way down the course, and neck still. I mean, at 600, they keep on looking across at each other. It's almost as if they're having a sort of conversation with their eyes and blades, and seeing who's ready to pounce when. The Caroline Hammond has now seized the slight advantage. The Venezuelan sculler was ahead of her for quite a while, and so a two-boat race certainly can be exciting. And rowing itself, of course, in the various forms, not only the one we've seen this weekend here in Eton, but also as a recreational activity, as is often the case at clubs, can be very exciting in different ways. A lot of people enjoy long-distance rowing as a way to see a lot of different natural surroundings. And rowing, as I think we can see, not least from participants this weekend from Zimbabwe, from Pakistan, from Azerbaijan, from Venezuela, has become very universal in its geography. Rowing is very universal in many other ways. A lot of outsiders think it's a terribly elite sport. That's absolute nonsense. First of all, it's a sport for all ages in a way that football or judo, possibly even darts, are certainly not. You can take it from a very young age to a very old age and still continue in active involvement. It's open to men and women at all levels, up to Olympic level. There's a Paralympic program now, and we'll be watching the Paralympic regatta on this very course next year. Weight and size don't really play a great role in one's ability to enjoy the sport. There's a lightweight category if you want to take it seriously at competitive level, but large or small, thin or thick, cuddly or aerodynamic are all welcome in clubs and schools to row. And the very good news for parents is you don't have to worry about buying expensive kit in strange sports like golf or tennis. You don't even have to buy a pair of football boots. Rowing clubs and rowing schools provide the equipment. All you have to do is turn up in the clothes that match the weather. And the boats are provided, the sculls are provided. So it's a very good value sport for parents who otherwise can end up shelling out an awful lot for some of their children's activities like violin playing or stamp collecting or whatever. The choice of garments I was mentioning just a moment ago, well, a clear choice for the Zimbabwean sculler and the Venezuelan sculler here as the evening sun starts to look down more friendlily on the course than we've had some of the time this weekend. They've both gone for these all-in-ones that most oarsmen and women now wear nowadays, but with no long sleeves or long trousers, as we saw on some of the colder rowing earlier this week. Not even a T-shirt, in fact, and they've gone for just that single piece of garment, then the socks. Normally, typically, red and green socks, so you know which side of the boat to put which foot in, on bow or starboard, bow, stroke side, bow side, port or starboard, as the Americans say, just short of 1,250. Caroline Hammond has found that by putting that little bit of extra pressure on those socks, on those feet, she can really drive the boat forward. A lot of people think rowing is an arms and upper body sport. Well, primarily, of course, it's a leg sport, and anyone who's tried single sculling alongside a dragon boat with 20 paddlers in will know what I mean. The leg drive means that you'll always win in a scull alongside 20 people in a modern Roman galley known as a dragon boat. And Caroline Hammond really driving on now as we move into the last third of this D final of the sculls, pushing that sliding seat underneath her back. The sliding seat, probably one of the inventions in rowing for which oarsmen and women are most thankful in the 19th century. There have been experiments over the years of doing it the other way round and letting the riggers move and keep the seat stable. That's not allowed anymore in international competition. There was a brief flurry of activity some 30 or 40 years ago, but there are clubs who still have those kind of boats. They're sometimes popular with people who sometimes feel a few back problems with this normal rig where the seat moves and the riggers stay stable. But it's leg drive either way round, doesn't matter what moves, but you get a lot more length, of course, than if you've just got fixed seats, which is how rowing started competitively 170 or 80 years ago in Europe. 1,500 metres is European export to both Zimbabwe and to Venezuela, called rowing, encouraged by FISA, the Fédération Internationale des Sociétés d'Aviron, and that, Rob, is why it's called FISA and not FISA. It's the Société, very international indeed, and put a lot of effort and a lot of enthusiasm into building up national programs, and that's bearing fruit around the world. And games like the Pan American Games and the Asian Games bear testimony to the work of Thor Nielsen and many, many others from FISA have done so much in that development program, which is really an enthusiasm program, as Robert Trahan-Jones so rightly said a few minutes ago. We've just got over 250 meters to go and plenty of enthusiasm on the water at the moment. Caroline Hammond has thrown down a big, big challenge to the Venezuelan sculler. She's young enough to reappear next year, Caroline Hammond. I look forward very much to seeing her in something above a D final. But she's taken this D final extremely seriously. That'll be ranking 19 for her overall if she continues in that position over the last 250 meters. I'm glad to say this weekend we've only seen one sculler taking a dip. You do have to be able to swim, though, if you want to row, but that is not something that Caroline Hammond's having to worry about at the moment, nor is Genesis Perez for Venezuela. She's the rather taller of these two scullers. She's got long reach right out front in those very attractive blue, red, and yellow blades that the Venezuelans have to reflect their national colours, and the Zimbabweans also have very colourful blades as well. Here she is, Caroline Hammond, looking right round across her shoulder to see how far it is to the finishing line. You can see her on the big screen if you're still in the catering tent or still in the grandstand. She's winding it up now, taking up her rate of striking to something like 37.38, having been at a fairly constant 33.34 most of the way down the stroke, the course, and 37.38, that means 37 or 38 strokes per minute, so more than one every 2 seconds. She gets the line, gets the toot, then goes through the line of bubbles that tells her she's safely across the line. A win there in the D final for Caroline Hammond, pursued by Genesis Perez, who now also completes the course and is therefore 20th overall this year in the World Junior Women's Single Sculls rankings.